Welcome to Seeds of Wealth and Wellness. Financial and social empowerment is a mindset that requires a transformation of your thinking, your thought processes, health, physical activity, spiritually a foundation, a paradigm for integrity. Financial empowerment also requires a network of like-minded individuals. This six-part Seeds of Wealth and Wellness series leads to champion lifestyle. You will meet champions who are enriching lives. If you commit to champion mindset, wealth will become your neighbor. Welcome to Seeds of Wealth and Wellness. Your host, educator, and motivator, Professor Melvina Goodman, and I'm Michael D. Edwards, Master Business Developer. You too are a champion at Seeds of Wealth and Wellness. Welcome to our second season of Seeds of Wealth and Wellness. I'd like to tell you to catch our first season on Netflix, but it's not there yet. I want to introduce you to our incredible host today, our professor, pastor, score counselor, and CEO, Professor Melvina Goodman. To my right, also we have Kevin Kemp, the author and founder of BrainTight. And we're going to hear more about that awesome organization and what it's doing to empower our community. And also Fred Duff. He's going to tell you about an incredible story against all odds. The ability to change. And me, your co-host, Mike Edwards, President and CEO of the Seed Institute, score counselor, and I just love people. But more importantly, I want to introduce you and tell you, and you'll hear it first live from the preacher to teacher, the public speaker, Melvina Goodman.
Good evening, everyone. I hope all is well. We so enjoyed you joining us last season, and we've had a little break, and so we're back for our second season of the Seeds of Wealth and Wellness. And let me tell you, tonight we have something exciting for you. We are excited about the guests that are on the show this evening. I also want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that all that you are wishing for in terms of being with family and friends and just enjoying a meal together, that you would have that, because that also is a seed of wealth and wellness. And so, wow, Michael, this is exciting.
It is.
To be in a second season, to be able to bring empowerment and transformation to those who seek it. It's have to be intentional about empowerment. It's important to establish what it is that you want for your life. And so we hope that with these programs that we're bringing, that it is planting a seed of wealth and wellness for our viewers to decide what you want in life and then just believe that you can have it. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Michael, my co-host, who is, I call the greatest motivator of all time. And he will introduce and get our conversation started for this evening.
You know, this is a great time just quickly to do a recap. We had Dr. Hayden on the show, who was an awesome educator. Sergeant Carol Adams was on our show. And also she was the CEO and is the CEO of the Carol Adams Domestic Violence Foundation. Return to Hope was with Alicia,
Yes.
Working with the reentry population, those being released and transitioning from the Department of Corrections or even from the military. And then James Thurston, a registered nurse and a motivator who spends time circling our community and empowering people to be motivated. But this day, you will meet an incredible individual, a wonderful father, a minister, and a powerful individual when it comes to empowering people to take over their lives, to fire their boss, and to become an entrepreneur. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce to my right, Fred Duff.
Good evening, Michael. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing extremely well. Fred, before we get started, I've known you for many, many years, and I've seen you in a leadership position at Faith Landmark. I've seen you motivating people and facilitating groups. And I've also seen you in a compassionate role into where you are just pour out everything that you have helping and assisting people. But tell me, I've read this article and I was so compelled to ask you about it. Tell me about the name of the magazine and the name of the article.
Well, first of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be with this whole group of people here. You guys are very successful in your own rights, and I've learned one thing, Michael. Successful people like hanging out with successful
That's
people.
right. That's right.
It's just a culture that you get a hold of, and it's like addictive. You just can't hang around with just anybody. You know that at some point. But thank you. Mike. It wasn't that many years ago. I was come home basically. Somewhat abandoned, the best way to put it. Our life as kids were just jacked up and messed up. My parents were good parents, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. And I love my mama. Oh, what I'd give to have my mama cooking one more time and smell burnt one more time. But so I love my parents. So don't misunderstand. But you know what? No one taught them. So they can only pass on what they know, what they've been taught. And long story short, my sisters and I, we struggled in a lot of ways, and I'm so thankful that my sisters have made it, but grew up in a little town called Saltville, Virginia. Now, listen, Saltville. They just got their first stoplight a few years ago.
Wow.
And look, they still think it's Christmas tree lights left over. They just run around through there. But it's a great little town to grow up in. And the little valley that we started off in was called Poor Valley. Now, to this day, when I go home and visit, I hate riding through Poor Valley. See, it was a title that was given to everybody that lived there. I don't care what you say, you be poor. Well, you know what I'm here to say, po no mo. And so I've been very fortunate. And I think that, the thing, I had a burning desire in me. And I remember going to my mother at 8 years of age, and I said, one day, Mama, one day. Now, she didn't put me down. She said, sure, honey, but stay in school. Now, I have no issues with school, Mike. It's a good place. You get a good education. You get a good job. But I had other visions, and vision is a thing of the heart. Dr. Miles Monroe says it's a thing. So I had an early vision that I was going to take care of myself and my family in an extraordinary way, and then anyone who came into my life, I would touch and do extraordinary things with. Now I'm a very blessed man. I have a beautiful wife who's currently right now in Fiji. We just launched a new company overseas, and affects international is legendary, and she's the CEO of that, and I'm her co-CEO down on the bottom. But that's okay. That's all right. She knows how to manage her money, does a great job. So I miss my wife, Selena. She's gone, but she'll be home soon. And I got beautiful children home, And so the bottom line is this. What do you do when all the odds are against you? I mean, what do you do? Well, if you've got a burning desire, one thing I know, you can't let that fire go out. If you do, it's over with. When you buy the concepts and ideals, what other men and women say about you, you're in trouble. A good friend of mine, Darren Kidd, we launched our career together about 15 years ago. Me, was Darren Kidd, and a guy named Mike Smith. All of us, I bet you if you put 3 full-grown men in this room together, we couldn't have rubbed 2 quarters together, never mind 3. Right. And so the interesting thing about all that was this: we got hooked up with somebody who had some information. Now, Mike, let me tell you something. Information can set you free if you're willing to take it in and see it. It's just great information unless you act upon it. I'm so excited that my sisters now are acting upon great knowledge, and they're putting it, and I'm seeing such a transformation in their lives. But the bottom line, it's you'll be surprised who will be willing to mentor you if you ask. So there's this old ancient scripture in the Bible called, you have not because you ask not. Well, I'm an asker. In fact, let me give you an example. I read this book here from a guy, his name is Fran Tarkenton, NFL Hall of Fame. I was so impressed with the book, What Losing Taught Me About Winning. Well, I've been declared a loser by everybody. I'll never get my second grade teacher said, you're a little hood, you're a little hoodlum, and that's all you'll ever be. Well, I had other visions. And you know what? When I said he's a loser, well, I said, wait a minute, let me find out what he's got to say. I read the book, and guess what? There's a lot in losing you can learn about winning. Now, Mike, I said have not because you what?
Ask not.
So I picked up the phone and I called through his publisher, made a phone call or two, and guess who I got on the phone? His secretary. Me and Darren Kidd drove to Atlanta, Georgia. We told him we were going to be in town, which happened to be passing through. We stretched that a little bit. Repented later. So we got there and unexpected, and because we asked for his time, guess what we got?
You got it.
This guy here is wealthy beyond your imagination. So, because we asked, would you give a couple guys struggling, seeking success, would you give us just a few moments? And And there you go. So what I learned from Fran Tarkenton is unbelievable. And there's a lot of great books out there. You're going to hear about one in just a moment right here. But you know what? There's a guy that I got a hold of this book. I don't even know if you can get it in America today. It's called, The Goals for Peter J. Daniels. Peter J. Daniels, now listen to this. You're talking about a story. See, this is what inspires you. When you read other people did it, then you know you can do it. One thing I learned, leaders are readers. Let me say that again. Readers are leaders. If you don't read, don't expect to lead a whole bunch. And another thing I learned, Mike, everybody wants a promotion at work. And I go, well, do you balance your checkbook? They go, well, no. And you want to run the finance department. It ain't going to work.
That's right.
You've got
I want to go back to something you said early on. And what you said is you were talking about your mother. And you said, I love my mother. But her and your father could only teach you what they knew.
Absolutely.
And so for our viewers, because I know I've worked with people and people really hold their mother accountable for their lives going awry. But as you said, our parents can only teach us what they know. They do the best they can with what they have, and then it is up to us to take that information and build upon it. So versus having a resentment, you've decided that she gave you the best she had.
Oh, absolutely.
And you just ran with it. And no matter what that school teacher said to you, you decided that she wasn't going to decide your destiny.
Oh, no. You know, here's my friend Darren Kidd, and I'm going to refer to the closest friends, you know, because when you're broke and you can't rub quarters together. You know, when I met Darren, to answer your question, it's kind of a long answer, but short to it. I remember when I first met him, I thought I was the brokest guy in the country. I really thought that. Then here he was on Medicaid, food stamps, you know, welfare, the whole nine, and they were looking for his car. Now, I mean, they're going to repo. And so we were in Tennessee, we got hooked up, and I said, this is the car they're trying to repossess? And he said, yeah. And I said, let them take it, brother. Let them take it. It was rough. I mean, he had to ride around with the windows down because it would choke the kids, you know, even in the wintertime. Then Mark Smith, another good friend of mine, was out of Maryland. Here he was in the military and couldn't pay his bills. Serving our country as a lifer and couldn't pay his bills. So the three of us got hooked up. And one of the things I learned that when you buy other people's opinions, then you're going to buy their lifestyle. Let me say that again. If you buy their opinions, you're going to buy their lifestyle. So as soon as somebody starts giving me some information, the first thing I go is, do they have a lifestyle that I want to have? If not, I ain't listening. I might be smiling, but I have tuned you out.
I got to stop you for a moment because I remember we've all been in the room together before. We were at the Seed Institute, and Malvina, you did a lot of you facilitated a lot of groups there, and Kevin, you facilitated a lot of groups there too. And then Fred came on board, and I remember, and we all have something in common, and that is the wanting to empower people.
Yes.
And you've been doing that a large part of your life, Fred, and you have too, Kevin, and Professor Goodman. But Malvina, your story is very similar to Fred's when we're talking about against all odds, because Fred talked about education, he talked about empowering people, and he actually does it a great deal through relationship marketing too. And before you get started with your story, Fred, tell me, what is relationship marketing, and why have you empowered so many people with that?
Well, relationship marketing gives you the ability basically, some people call it network marketing, call it M&L. I don't care what they call it. But let me ask you a question before you form your opinion what a network marketing company is, good or bad. There's a reason Warren Buffett, the second wealthiest man in the world, owns network marketing companies. So that's just a clue. And I like his lifestyle, so I buy his opinion. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
I don't care what you've got to say. He owns them. There's a reason he owns them. He's got a lot better lifestyle than we have. I'm sure of that. So relationship marketing is just finding a great product, a concept, or an ideal, and pushing it through a pipeline. See, if you were to launch a brand new product, whether it be water or whatever, and you try to get on the shelf at a store, well, there's clutter everywhere. So in other words, your product gets lost in all of that. How do you promote it? How do you brand it? I mean, you're up there with everything. So you've got to find a way to separate yourself from the crowd, which relationship marketing does, which means it's belly to belly. I come to you, Mike. I come to you, Doc.